Dear colleagues, participants in the CommOCEAN conference, first of all, please accept my profound apologies for not being with you today. And I did look forward to this very interesting keynotes and other presentations of the conference program. But unfortunately, an unforeseen but very important high-level meeting made my trip to Bruges impossible. The CommOCEAN conference could not be held at a more opportune time. The international community and the intergovernmental circles have now, I would say finally or eventually, recognized the importance of the ocean for the health of the planet, for sustainable development, and for human health and welfare. A number of important policies have been approved, and important decisions with regard to the ocean have been taken in the last 2 years. I would like to specifically highlight the Sustainable Development Goal on the ocean and the first ever explicit recognition of the relevance of ocean health in the preamble to the historic Paris Agreement on Climate. With this recognition comes the need to provide more authoritative information on ocean and its role in climate to the whole realm of decision makers. And of course, this is the main reason why there is now a decision to prepare a special IPCC report on climate change, ocean and cryosphere. They actually say oceans. There is no doubt that this recognition of the ocean is the result of two kinds of successes of oceanographers: the progress of ocean science itself and effective communication of scientific achievements to the circles of decision makers. IOC has been very active in this process and would like to highlight the weight of conclusions of the first World Ocean Assessment, particularly for the United Nations system. In this context, it is as well useful to recall not only successes, but also failures. Notable, the one of the Conference of Parties of the United Nations Convention on Climate Change in Copenhagen in 2009. When governments refused to act despite the science had been clear on the causes and scales of climate change. In this connection, I would like to draw your attention to the results of a remarkably used publication on the root causes of failures in communicating climate science, in a way that would trigger the necessary action. This publication, available online, is also very useful, in my view, to oceanographers. In a study that is entitled "Time for Change: Climate Science Reconsidered," the University College London unveiled a new vision of the societal role of climate science, the one of an honest broker of knowledge, responsibility of communicating the important scientific findings that largely comes from ethical grounds. The study urged to terminate the former rather passive and irresponsible behavior that was compared to the linear model of reporting. Science speaks to governments, like truth speaks to power, and then washes its hands. With wisdom comes the duty. We cannot wash hands, but need to do all we can to ensure that what we know leads to correct and effective action. So the new paradigm of communicating the science and working with the decision makers would be the one of co-design or co-production. In other words, that are probably shorter and probably clearer to you, societally important communication of science is not a privilege or a hobby, but an obligation of the scientist. But obviously this takes scientists out of their comfort zone. And with this also comes a problem. True communication skills are relatively rare. Scientists tend to focus on the towers. Communication just requires openness. But we need to communicate to governments, we need to communicate to various decision-making circles, to private sector and the general public. It is not a secret for participants in the CommOCEAN conference that these circles speak and understand a different language, and they operate on different time scales. But we need to have them on board to make sure that the new policies are implemented, that scientific recommendations are turned into decisions, and the decisions are turned into actions. This means that communication of scientific truth is now becoming a commitment of organizations like the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO. Yes, indeed, in the IOC, we are committed to improve our communication and related skills. We are developing a new website. We are now much better in terms of using new IT technologies and social media. We also plan to improve our regular communication with governments. By the way, such commitment requires a skill set that is more frequently found in younger generation, and it makes a lot of sense, because saving the ocean is in principle saving it for younger generation and for their children. This is why CommOCEAN is a very important and timely conference for IOC of UNESCO. Since it was established in 1960, the IOC has promoted international scientific collaboration, focusing on our core science. But more recently, the IOC has started to engage also in promoting public understanding of the ocean and of ocean issues. We now more actively participate in ocean literacy and ocean science communication projects and programs. We think of doing more for education in oceanography. Also, IOC is considering a requirement that the world needs a one-stop portal to authoritative scientific information about the state of the ocean and about its future states. We are researching the resource requirements to fulfill this important societal demand. The leaders and citizens of the world who are literate, have an understanding of ocean science issues, and who can access and assess corresponding information will be better prepared to respond effectively to future ocean challenges. For all these reasons, the IOC is proud and happy to be a part of the organizing committee of such a key and timely conference as CommOCEAN. I would like to thank our partners and dear friends, the co-organizers of the conference, the Flanders Marine Institute, the European Marine Board, and its communication panel, who have worked very hard to design a high-quality and rich program of the conference. Let me conclude by wishing you a very successful CommOCEAN conference. I look forward very much to learning the outcomes of your discussions and debates. Merci et bon courage.